Future Vision Study Center, Salem.
எங்களோட வீடியோஸ் உங்களுக்கு பிடிச்சிருந்தா லைக் பண்ணுங்க, ஷேர் பண்ணுங்க, கமெண்ட் பண்ணுங்க. மறந்துடாம சப்ஸ்கிரைப் பண்ணிட்டு கூடவே இருக்க பெல் ஐகானை கிளிக் பண்ணிடுங்க. so that எங்களோட வீடியோஸ் உங்களுக்கு மிஸ் ஆகாம வந்துட்டே இருக்கும்.
Well friends, on the other day we have been seeing about we slowly started with agriculture extension. அதில் we saw what is extension, the definitions given by different authors, and then we saw certain principles, and then certain scope for the extension, and then we slowly entered into the teaching learning process, and like that we started. Good. So the extension வந்து எப்படி பார்த்தோம்னா it's basically it's a behavioral science. Extension is also a science, particularly it's a behavioral science because it aims at bringing change in the knowledge, skill and attitude level of the farmers or learners, and here we aim at the farmers. So we started like that, and that too the father of extension, scientist J.P. Liggins, in his words, he defined extension as it's a behavioral science, and its aim is to change the attitude, behavior and the knowledge level of the farmers, and in the whole process it aims in applying the latest scientific technologies and innovations. Like that he has defined. And also one more scientist, we saw Ensminger. He also defined extension as science, and its purpose is to change the attitude of the people with whom work is done. Extension is also a science, and its purpose is to change the attitude of the attitude and behavior of the people with whom work is done. That was the definition given by Ensminger. Anyway, totally extension aims at bringing a change in the knowledge, skill and attitude level of the people. And prior to that, we started saying that extension is a Latin word, a coined out of two synonyms, ex and tensio. Ex means out and tensio means extending or stretching out. Enna extending? Extending the knowledge or the findings, any innovations from the universities to the farmers. வேளாண் பல்கலைக்கழகத்தில் கண்டுபிடிக்கப்பட்ட புது யுக்தி, நியூ டெக்னாலஜி or variety or maybe a seed or maybe any technology or maybe a practice or maybe a new implement, whatever it may be, extending that and taking it to the knowledge of the ultimate user. Ultimate user is our farmer. So it's nothing but extending of knowledge from the agricultural universities to the farmers. So it's extension means the extending of knowledge from the finding place, from the scientist to the farmers. We started like that, and we also defined that extension is a non-formal education. Well, we defined that it's a non-formal education, which means it's out of school education. When we say it's a non-formal education, then what is formal education? So இது non-formal education சொன்னால் formal educationங்கிறது என்ன, அந்த டிஃபரன்ஸும் பார்த்தோம். Formal education is purely what we follow. There will be a specified syllabus, well-structured buildings, well-structured course material, what we follow from the primary level to the college level. There will be well-defined staffing pattern, fixed syllabus, fixed course of hour, and moreover the learners will be a homogeneous group, all will be the same group of students. Like that we started, and there we also started with in the formal group we start with theory and we slowly end up with practical classes. Homogeneous group, fixed curriculum, fixed syllabus, this we say it's a formal education. Whereas comparatively, on the contrary, it's extension is a non-formal education where we don't have any walls, or we don't sit inside a classroom or inside a university or whatever it may be inside a college. the open field, the entire universe, the open universe is our college. The extension worker works there, works with the public, sleep with them, there he stays and works. It's a non-formal education. That means we don't have a homogeneous group. We don't expect a homogeneous group to be in a village. Definitely it will be a heterogeneous group consisting of youth, adults, aged farmers, farm women will also be there, even sometimes farm children will also be there. So it's a heterogeneous group to whom we have to teach, from whom we expect a change in their knowledge, skill and attitude level. So it's a heterogeneous group, one. Number two, we don't have any fixed class there, or fixed hours of teaching, or we don't have even syllabus there. We deal with problems there. அங்கே லோக்கல் ப்ராப்ளம் என்ன, இந்த புதுசாக வந்த விதையினுடைய ப்ராப்ளம் என்ன, புதுசாக வந்தால் இந்த நீர்ப்பாசன முறையில் இருக்கிற ப்ராப்ளம் என்ன, புதுசாக இன்ட்ரடியூஸ் பண்ணால் இந்த கருவியில் இருக்கிற ப்ராப்ளம் என்ன, அல்லது புதுசாக இருக்கிற இந்த பூச்சி நோய் தாக்குதல் எப்படி வந்தது, இது என்ன பூச்சியால் வந்தது, இந்த பூச்சி எப்படி கட்டுப்படுத்துறது, இந்த மாதிரி we deal with only issues there, problems there, practical problems there. The extension workers sometimes need to take some outside experts also to the field so as to give a better explanation to the farmers. A soil scientist may be required, a plant pathology may be required sometimes, an entomology may be required there, a microbiology may be required there, an economist may be required there to make some very good productive farm planning. So, anga we deal with so many issues of the farmer, real issues. From there we start, and slowly the extension worker makes some works there and take them towards the theoretical work. So, here in the formal class we start with theory and end with practical. In the non-formal education, the extension education, we start with practical class and slowly enter into the theory classes. No fixed hours of teaching or syllabus or whatever, and heterogeneous group, and moreover it's a two-way communication. In the formal education, teacher will only instruct the students, but whereas in the non-formal education, the extension worker also learns from the farmers. It's a two-way communication. He just takes the message from the university or from the colleges or from the scientific farming to the farmers, and he also takes back the issues of the farmers to the universities again to get some solutions, to get the issues sorted out. So it's a two-way communication, and sometimes not only the teacher, sometimes the local leader who may be expert in that particular practice, who might have already some knowledge, or who might have already worked with that implement, he will also be asked to take the classes, he will also be asked to share his experience. So not only the teacher, everybody is a farmer there. It's a participatory type of learning, whereas here it's a one-way communication. And here in the formal education, it's a vertical type of education. You go from first form, second form, third standard, fourth standard, UG degree, postgraduate degree, like that. It goes, keeps on going. But there, it's a horizontal type of learning. And the non-formal education, we say it's a horizontal type of learning, because one farmer learns a new technique, and he will be saying to his fellow farmers, and that one he will be saying to the another nearby farmers, and that way it's a horizontal type of education. And there the people learn not to get some degrees or whatever, diplomas or whatever it may be. There they learn things to make themselves clear with their profession. Clear with their profession means agriculture. So it's a horizontal type of learning. The learning, the message or whatever it may be, spreads like this in the horizontal way. One man to another man, one farmer to another farmer, to another group of farmer, to another nearby village farmers, like that it spreads. But whereas in the non-formal education, it's a vertical type of education. I learn from the second standard, and then I have to go up to 10th standard, then I go for my UG degree, like that. It's a vertical type of education. While in the non-formal education, it's a horizontal type of education. Like the differences we learned, and we also saw some principles of extension education. Principles of interest and need, principle of cooperation, and the principle of leadership, like that. So many principles we saw. To say one or two, the principle of cultural difference, principle of participation, principle of whole family approach, and so the principle of satisfaction. So the culture differs in the village, everybody has different interest and need, they have different, what can say, they different interests and need, different cultural difference, different cultures they follow, and they have different type of requirements also. So accordingly, the extension worker has to plan, has a sort out a program which will satisfy all the needs, which will satisfy all groups of people, which will satisfy all the interests and needs of the people. In fact, extension worker cannot develop his work and go and talk to the people. Rather, he has to go to the people, know their needs, know their interests, and has to develop the extension program after in consultation with the farmers. He cannot talk about pathology, has his prepared pathology and talk to the farmers. He cannot go and talk entomology directly, has his prepared entomology. He cannot go on to talk about the pest. He has to visit the village, has to mingle with the farmer, talk with the farmer, understand their need, understand the issues, and has to talk and has to start from there. So it's you have to satisfy the different interests and needs of the people. And there is also a principle of cooperation wherein all the people are involved there. Nobody is left out without noticing, and nobody is ignored also. We have to involve all the people. One may be having one message and another may be expert in another technique. You have to involve all the people so as to make the extension program a big successful one. So in that way, the principle of extension we discussed. And then we also started about the teaching and learning. Teaching and learning and the process konjam pathom. And என்ன சொன்னோம் teaching. Teaching is a process in which things to be learned are brought to the knowledge of the learner. கற்கப்பட வேண்டியவைகளை, கற்கப்பட வேண்டிய விஷயங்களை கற்பவருடைய கவனத்திற்கு கொண்டு வருவது கற்றல் அப்படின்னு சொல்லி முடித்தோம். கற்கப்பட வேண்டியவை திங்ஸ் டு பி லேர்ன் ஆர் brought டு த நாலேஜ் ஆஃப் தி லேர்னர். அதை நம்ம கற்றல்னு சொன்னோம். இது டீச்சிங் சொன்னோம். லேர்னிங் இஸ் சம்திங் ஆன் த பார்ட் ஆஃப் தி லேர்னர். இட்ஸ் எ ப்ராசஸ் out of which one attains a change in his behavior, out of which one attains a change in his knowledge, out of which one attains a change in his skill, out of which one becomes one totally changes his outlook. So teaching is something on the part of the teacher, whereas learning is something on the part of the learner. Learning is a process in which a learner totally attains a change in his thinking, in his behavior or in his knowledge level. That we said it's a learning activity. If a learner attains change in his knowledge and skill level, then learning has taken place. We say like that. So teaching, learning, and we also discussed about the teaching, learning, effective teaching, learning situation. For effective teaching, learning situation, we defined about 5 elements to be there. The teaching, learning effective இருக்கணும் அப்படின்னா ஒரு 5 elements நம்ம சொன்னோம். Very easy elements. That is, a teacher must be there. He is a subject matter specialist, that is the extension worker, and a learner automatically. And here our learner is automatically the farmer. So a teacher, a learner, and in between them a concrete subject matter. What is to be discussed? On what aspects they require knowledge? Something to be sorted out. What are the things to be sorted out? So a teacher, a learner, a subject matter, and some physical facilities. Physical facilities means the aeration, the lighting arrangement, the seating arrangement, the time of taking the class. All these things go together to make a pleasant physical situation. Unless the physical situation is good, we cannot expect a good learning there to much have be taken. A good situation is should be there. And also, this teaching can be made more effective when you go for suitable teaching aids. That is the extension worker showing the real specimens. If he talks about a pest, he may show the real. He may be showing the real specimens, the attacked, the pest damaged plant pots, or the pest attacked fruits, or even the shape of the the shape of the insect, or the real model of the insect, some posters, like that. This is the real model. He can show it to the farmers. If he talks about some reservoirs, the dam size, the picture of the dam, or the diagram of the implement, new implement, maybe a seed sowing implement or harvesting implement, or whatever it may be. A real model of the picture of that element, the picture of the implement may also be shown. So these makes together as the physical aids, teaching aids. So a teacher, a learner, subject matter, physical facilities, and then these teaching aids. Teaching aids, maybe the samples or the photographs or the real objects or the miniature size of the objects or the teaching aids, which will create much interest in the minds of the farmer during learning. All these things together make the teaching learning a much effective one. And finally, we also saw about the extension teaching steps. The steps in extension teaching that consisted of about the 6th step, and we defined that as 8 cause: attention, interest, desire, conviction, action, and satisfaction. Attention is something, a new technology that catches hold of the learner, that we say the attention. Once the thing or the new practice or the new seed has taken note of the attention of the farmer mind, he will become interested and he will be needing further information on that. And after attention stage, interest will come. The interest stage is that one which he has some knowledge about he has some awareness knowledge about the new technology, but he lacks information, or the information is required by the learner, by the farmer, and that stage is called interest. He has become interested toward the new technology, but he lacks information. That is the second stage. And the third stage is desire. He develops much interest and he has persuaded himself and he has convinced in himself and he wants more information to bring it in a real situation. That is the desire stage. And after that, conviction stage is the persuasion stage, and the action is really making use of this new technology in a small scale, in a small level, in a limited level. He has a trial, he goes for a trial, and that is the action stage. And finally, once when he satisfies himself with the action and he continues it and he does the practice, he uses the practice, he adopts the practice in a full scale continuously, and that stage we say it is a satisfaction stage. So this attention, interest, desire, conviction, action, and satisfaction, this we say has the extension teaching steps. Like that we concluded the first session, and in continuation and this session we will be talking about this ID process. ID process, you know well, it's innovation, diffusion, and adoption process. Innovation, diffusion, and adoption process, and this we simply say as ID process. Innovation, diffusion, and adoption. So what is innovation? We know well, anything new perceived as new by the farmer, by the individual, we say it's innovation. It may be a new seed, it may be a new technology, it may be a new practice, it may be a new implement, it may be a very new insect he might have come across. So anything perceived as new, he has not seen such an implement earlier, they have not seen such a pest earlier, they have not seen such variety earlier, they have not cultivated such variety earlier. It's totally new and new, totally new. So anything perceived as new is called as innovation. So anything perceived as new by the individuals, we say it's innovation. Maybe a practice, or maybe an object, or maybe a seed, or maybe a technology, or maybe an implement. Anything perceived, anything seen as new by the farmers, we call it it's innovation. And second one is the diffusion. Diffusion means spreading. It's a process of special communication, we say. It's a process of special communication through certain channels over a period of time. It's a special communication. Why we say it's a special communication? It's not an ordinary communication. It's a special communication, which means special communication always deal with a new idea. A known idea, already dissemination is not a diffusion. We say it's just spreading of news. We say it's simply a news. We say simply it's an article. But anything which is being taken to the knowledge of the farmer, taken to the knowledge of the public as new for the first time, we say it's a special communication or diffusion. So diffusion is a special type of communication, a special process of communication through certain channels. The channel may be a fellow farmer. A fellow farmer might have seen this technology from somewhere and he will be taking it to his fellow farmers, to the nearby farmers. Or he might have learned it from a journal, he might have saw from the media, he might have seen this in some newspapers for the first time. So anything new, it's a special type of communication through some certain channels over a period of time. So diffusion is spreading. Diffusion is spreading. It's a special type of communication. The news spreads through certain channels. It's a special type of communication through certain channels over a period of time. We say that one has a diffusion. It's a diffusion. It's a special type of communication over a period of time through certain channels. We say it's a diffusion. Diffusion of the information, spreading of information. So innovation is something new, perceived as new by the members of the society. We say it's innovation. Diffusion is a process, a special type of process through certain channels over a period of time among the members of the social system. We say it's diffusion. And third one is adoption. Adoption is nothing but adopting, following. Innovation garde or pudusa paakuradhu, very new. Diffusion garde adana patti knowledge ulila paravarudhu. Adoption way adu follow pandrathu, adu practice pandrathu. Innovation, diffusion and adoption. Adoption is completely a mental and decision making process. It's a mental and decision making process. Fine, a particular farmer has seen that variety. Now he has to decide on his own whether to go for that variety, whether to cultivate that variety or not. A farmer might have seen a new implement working on a field. Now it's his turn to decide out whether to make use of that implement or not. So adoption is it's a full and full, it's a decision making process to make full use of the innovation. To make full use of the innovation as the best course of action. Among all different technologies available, among all different types of seeds available, among all type of varieties available, this particular variety is going to give me higher yield, or this particular implement is very easier when compared to other implement. So by convincing ourselves in that way, we are going to adopt this. So adoption is a mental process and decision making process, whether to follow that one or not, whether to use that implement or not, whether to make use of this variety or not. Once satisfied, once when the individual farmer is convinced, he goes for the adoption of that variety. So it's a mental process, making decision, our own decision, and make use of that particular innovation. And that particular innovation is the best course of action compared to all other courses available. So it's a real practical stage. It's a real practical stage. No controversy, no discontinuance will occur there. And the adoption stage is that stage wherein the farmer, after his careful analysis, has come to a stage that this technology may be used, this seed may be used for better yield. So that stage, that fully satisfied stage is the adoption stage. So these three factors we call as ID process. Innovation is something new, perceived as new by the individuals is innovation. Maybe an object, or maybe a seed, or maybe a practice. And the diffusion is a special type of communication. It's a process of special type of communication through certain channels over a period of time, among the members of the social system. It's a diffusion. And adoption is purely a mental process. It's a process, it's a decision making, is completely a mental process to make full use of the new innovation in their real situation, in their form. That one we say as adoption. Okay, and in continuation, we talked about innovation, diffusion and adoption. So innovation we said anything new, maybe an object or maybe a practice or maybe a seed or whatever it may be. So next one is the attributes of innovation, that is the qualities of innovation or the characteristics of innovation. How innovation should be? What are the qualities that make anything to be said as an innovation? Innovation means what are the qualities, its characteristics or the innovations, how it should be. So any innovation has 5 attributes. We say all these things joined together make anything as new. That is, we say it's a in a short form we say it's RTOCC, where R stands for relative advantage, T stands for trialability, O stands for observability, C for compatibility, and another C for complexity. So this relative advantage, trialability, observability, complexity and compatibility are being seen as the attributes of innovation, the qualities of innovation. All these 5 elements put together, they form the attributes of innovation. Well, this relative advantage, what is the relative advantage means? Comparatively, when we say innovation, is new. So, in what way this new technique or new seed or new practice is advantageous than the previous one? In what way this new seed is better than the previous one? That we say as a relative advantage. It's a degree to which an innovation is comparatively easier. It's a degree to which this new innovation, this new technique is comparatively better than the previous one. The degree to which this innovation is much easier than the previous one. The degree to which this new innovation, new variety is going to give better yield than the previous one. It's a relative comparison of this innovation with the previous one, what we have been following, the yield factors, the method, in what way this new innovation, this new implement is easier in operation than when compared to the previous implement. So it's a relative advantage. In what way this new technique, new innovation, the innovation or the object is better when compared to the previous one. When we say it's a new variety, in what way this new variety is better than the previous one? Naturally, that will be measured in terms of yield, no. So this new variety should have higher yield than the previous one. Then when we say it's a new variety. So when we say it's a new implement, this implement should be easier to handle than the previous one. Then we say the new implement is innovation. So relative advantage is the degree to which an implement is seen as, or the technique is seen as cheap, the technique is seen as easier, the technique is seen as much better performing, much better yield giving. In that way, we measure any technique, a new variety or seed or what may be has better than the previous one. This is a relative advantage. That is, the new one, this innovative one, is much better than it's being better than the previous one in all ways, in all the ways, in cost price, in handling, in its working pattern, and its yield factors, and its economic rate. What way? In all the ways, the new variety should be better than the previous one. So it's a relative advantage. It should be of advantage in all the ways. The first quality. And the second type is the trialability. That is, degree to which this new implement can be experimented in our land on a small scale. Degree to which this implement can be experimented in our land on a small scale. Later on, if we are satisfied, we can extend it to the full scale. So degree to which it can be practically worked out. That's a trialability of the seed, trialability of that implement, trialability of that practice. How far this practice can be really worked in our field on small scale, on a limited basis, so that we can understand its minus points and positive points or whatever it may be, and make it and use it in our lands on a full scale. So that innovation should help us to go for a small trial on a limited basis in our field to decide on its worthiness. Let me say it's a trialability. It's a trialability of the practice wherein it helps the farmer to make use of this technique or innovation on a small scale to decide its worthiness, to decide its actual working condition, to understand its better aspects in a better way. So that's a trialability. It should help us to make a trial on a small scale. That we say is a trialability of the innovation. So when we compare the innovation with the old one or the past one or the previous one, it should be relatively better in all the type, in all the ways, maybe in economic terms or time factor terms, in the working way, everything. It should be relatively advantage in all the ways. Second one, it should help us to go for a little trial in our land in a simple way. It should be easily trialable. Trialability of the innovation, the second quality. Third quality that makes anything has new innovation, is rather, third one is observability. That is, the result can be seen. When we say it's a new variety, when we cultivate it, its yield factor should be significantly better than the previous one. We should be able to see the result of the new innovation significantly. Well, we have been following some traditional variety, the yield was this much. Now we have taken a new variety and the yield is this much. We should be able to see practically, we should observe the difference. We have been using that implement and it has taken 3 hours or 4 hours to work on 1 acre of land. Now we have used this new implement wherein we were able to do the same work in 1 hour or half an hour or so, wherein we have saved about 2 hours of labor. 2 hours we have saved. We should be able to see the result ourselves. The result can be seen, the result can be felt for ourselves. Any innovation, when we go for using a new innovation, it's a result. Ultimately, it's a result. What happens after its usage? The result should be felt by us. The result, we should be able to see the result on our own. That is more advantageous. So to decide it, that it is more advantageous than the previous one. That is observability. The result should be practically observable by us. That means it's observability. So relative advantage, the trialability, and third one is observability. It's working. It may be a time saving one. So observability is the result of innovation. When we make use of the innovation, its result we must be able to see, and that we say is the observability of the innovation. And the fourth quality is compatibility. That is, how best this innovation is compatible than the previous one. How best this new innovation compared to with our past experience. That we say is the compatibility. Compatibility is anything that is perceived as degree to which an innovation is perceived as consistent and suitable to our needs and demand and suiting to our demand. It's a degree to which it is consistent when compared to the past experience. It is suitable to when compared to the past experience. So compatibility is perceived as consistent over the existing one. In what way this is better than the existing one? This new one, better than the existing one, we say it's a compatible. It's rather comparable, it's compatible. And for fifth quality is this complexity. That is, the new implement we are using should be very simple when compared to the previous one. The new variety should be giving more yield than the previous one. The new practice should be easier to follow than the previous one. When the complexity is less, adoption rate will be more. So this complexity and adoption are inversely proportional. When the complexity of the implement or complexity of the practice becomes less, adoption rate becomes more. When the complexity is more, adoption rate will be less. So always this complexity of the innovation and the adoption rate are always negatively proportional. They are negatively related, inversely proportional. When the complexity naturally, when the complexity is more, adoption rate will be less. When the complexity is less, adoption rate will, more farmers will be following this, more farmers will be purchasing that implement, more will be able to follow that, and automatically adoption rate will be high. So these five qualities may go together to form these attributes of the innovation. ஒரு கண்டுபிடிப்பு என்பது இந்த 5 இதையும் சார்ந்து இருக்கிறது. அதனுடைய அட்வான்டேஜ் என்ன, அதனுடைய புதுவுடைய பலருக்கும் என்ன அட்வான்டேஜ், டைம் சேவ் பண்ணுறதா, எக்கனாமிக் ஃபேக்டரா, இல்லை யூஸ் பண்ணுற யூசேஜில் ஃபேக்டரா, இதெல்லாம் பார்த்து தான் அது ரிலேட்டிவ் அட்வான்டேஜ். வாட் இஸ் த ரிலேட்டிவ் அட்வான்டேஜ் when compared to the first one? Second one is observability, the trialability. How far the new technique ப்ராக்டிக்கலாக செய்ய முடியுமா, ஒரு சின்ன ஸ்கேலில் செஞ்சு பார்த்துட்டு அப்புறம் பெரிய ஸ்கேலில் பண்ணிக்கலாம், லிமிட்டடாக செய்து பார்த்துட்டு ரியலாக பெரிய ஸ்கேலில் பண்ணிக்கலாம் அப்படிங்கிறது. ஒரு சீடா, புது சீடா, ஒரு சின்னதாக ஒரு 1 சென்ட்டில் போட்டு பார்க்கலாமா, போட்டு பார்த்துட்டு when it is suiting we can extend it to 1 acre or 2 acre, whatever it may be. So trialability, it should be used in a small scale for trialability. That means it's trialability. Third one, its results must be observable. இம்மீடியட்டாக அந்த ரிசல்ட் நம்ம பார்க்க முடியணும். ரிசல்ட்டே வரல, பார்க்க முடியாத ரிசல்ட்னா we cannot believe in that it's innovation. Any innovation we should be able to see its result, that is observability. Compatibility, புது டெக்னிக் பழைய டெக்னிக் கூட பெட்டராக இருக்கணும் in all the ways, that is compatible. புது டெக்னிக் பழைய டெக்னிக் கூட நம்ம பெஸ்ட் எக்ஸ்பீரியன்ஸை கொடுக்கணும், gainful experience கொடுக்கணும். That we say is compatibility. And the complexity is very easy usage, easy understanding, and it should be followed very easily. ரொம்ப காம்ப்ளெக்ஸ் சிஸ்டம் இருந்தால் அடாப்ஷன் ரேட் கம்மியாகும், காம்ப்ளெக்ஸ் சிஸ்டம் காம்ப்ளெக்சிட்டி குறைஞ்சிருந்தால் அடாப்ஷன் ரேட் அதிகமாகும். ஸோ காம்ப்ளெக்சிட்டி அண்ட் அடாப்ஷன் ரேட், adaptability is inversely or negatively related. So when the complexity is more, adaptation will be less. When the complexity is less, adoption will be more. So these things, these 5 things: relative advantage, trialability, observability, complexity and compatibility, all these form the attributes of an innovation. Okay, so following the attributes of innovation, now let us go for the adoption process. So we have perceived anything as new as innovation, but anything perceived as new, we said it's innovation. And after innovation we started with attributes of innovation, that is the qualities of innovation we discussed. And after knowing the attributes of innovation, next one is we will be going for actually for adoption. And the adoption process have 5 stages. The adoption process have 5 stages. Shortly we say it's AITA, AIETA. And in the attributes we said it's RTOCC, relative advantage, trialability, observability, compatibility and complexity. These 5 elements constituted the attributes of innovation, qualities of innovation. And following this, now we talk about the adoption process. And this adoption process have 5 stages. We shortly term as AITA: awareness, interest, evaluation, trial and adoption. Awareness, and last one is adoption. All these are 5 stages in any adoption process. Since from the first knowing about an innovation till its final adoption, these 5 stages, one is going through these 5 stages: awareness, interest, evaluation, trial and adoption. And this is constituted by the North Rural Sociology Committee, North Central Rural Sociology Committee in USA. They have come out with these 5 stages. North Central Rural Sociology Committee in the year 1955 came out with this research and has developed this AITA as the 5 stages of adoption. So adoption process of 5 stages, shortly termed as AITA, AIETA, where A stands for awareness, I stands for interest, E stands for evaluation, T for trial, and A for adoption. So we start with A for awareness. That is, here is the first stage. There are 5 stages of adoption, where A is the first stage, awareness stage. That is, an individual, the farmer is aware of the innovation. The farmer is aware of the innovation, but he has no further information. He wants more information. So A stands for awareness. He is aware of the new variety. He is aware of the new technique. He is aware of the new pest. He is aware of the new cattle breed. He is aware of this new disease also, everything. He is aware of that innovation, but needs more information. Information is lacking. This is the first stage. He is aware of that information, he needs more information. He lacks information. He doesn't have much detailed information about the innovation. And that one is awareness. That is, he is aware but needs information. He lacks information rather. That stage is awareness. He is aware of the technology but needs more information. And the second stage is interest. Here he has developed the interest on the innovation. He has developed the interest on the innovation but lacks information. And he needs more information also. In the aware stage, he is aware of the new technique and he has no information. In the second interest stage, he has collected some information but still he lacks and needs further more information. Is the interest stage. Initially he has become aware, second he has developed interest and he has collected some information, but again he needs still some more information. That is the interest stage. And third stage is evaluation stage, wherein the individual makes a mental application of the innovation. Individual makes the mental application of the innovation on a small scale in his land. Mental application of the innovation on a small scale in his land is called evaluation. Makes mental application of the new idea depending upon the present situation and the past situation, and he goes for it as a trial in his field in a small scale. That is the evaluation. He evaluates, he decides mentally to go for the new technique depending upon the present situation and deciding upon the future situation. Everything he takes into account, and then finally he decides and he evaluates himself to go for the new innovation on a small scale. That is the evaluation stage. That is the mental application of the stage. Mental application of the stage. Mental application of stage. That is evaluation. And final one, the next one is a trial stage. Awareness, he is aware of the new technique but he doesn't have any information on that. Interest is, he has developed much interest and lacks information, and we have to give him, we have to feed him with the new information. The information about the innovations, how it works, how will it grow, the time of, if it is a variety means the time of manuring, the time of irrigation, the time of earthing up, the time of weeding, all this should be informed to him if it is about a variety. Second one is, he has developed interest but lacks information. All this information has to be given to him, and that is the interest stage. And third one is evaluation, wherein he has mentally decided to go for a trial in his field. The farmer is mentally decided to use that implement. He has mentally decided to go for that variety. That is the mental stage. Mental application of this new variety on a small scale to decide its worthiness, to know its gain, to know its profitability, to understand its profitability. That is the evaluation. Mental application of the innovation to understand its worthiness. That is trial. That is evaluation. And the fourth stage, trial, is actual application of the new idea. Actual application. Actual application of new idea. That is trial. That is seeing a trial. How will it work? How much yield this will give? That is called trial. So what is trial? That is actually applying the new idea on a small scale to know its utility. That is trial. And fifth one is adoption. It is a mental process again, wherein the individual has completely decided to make use of this new innovation on a full scale. That is adoption. He has finally adopted. Initially he came to he understood he had some knowledge, then he attained some another additional knowledge about the new technique in the interest stage. Then in the trial stage he mentally adapted, mentally decided to follow it, and the final adoption stage he has even made a trial, and adoption stage he has convinced himself, he has persuaded himself, and he makes use of the innovation on a full scale continuously. That is the adoption stage. So a farmer, after knowing about an innovation, that is aware, after having become aware of the innovation, and the second stage he gains more knowledge about the innovation, that is the interest stage, and the third stage it is the evaluation. He himself mentally applicates and decides whether it will be suitable for us, whether we follow it or not, whether or not we have to decide. That is the third stage. And fourth stage is trial. He goes for a small trial on a small scale basis and finds himself to be happy and finds himself to be profitable and finds the new technique to be more profitable and easier, and finally he decides it for adoption. Adoption is the final stage wherein he has decided to make full use of the innovation on a large scale, and he finds this one to be the best course of action among all other courses available, and he goes for the final adoption of the technique. Okay, so first one is awareness, wherein he became aware of the new technique and he has no idea or no knowledge about that. The second one is the interest, wherein he developed interest on the new technique, interest on the innovation, but lacks information. After having so much of information about the innovation, he decides it to go for, to make it, he evaluates himself mentally to know its worthiness, whether we apply or not. After having applied, he convinces himself and make it for a trial stage and applies it on a small scale and a small limited level, and again he persuades himself and he decides to follow it on a large scale. That is the final adoption stage, wherein he is fully decided, he is confident of the innovation and makes use of the innovation on a large scale. That is the adoption stage. So this adoption process has 5 stages: awareness stage, interest stage, evaluation stage, trial, and final one is adoption stage. Okay.
எங்களோட வீடியோஸ் உங்களுக்கு பிடிச்சிருந்தா லைக் பண்ணுங்க, ஷேர் பண்ணுங்க, கமெண்ட் பண்ணுங்க. மறந்துடாம சப்ஸ்கிரைப் பண்ணிட்டு கூடவே இருக்க பெல் ஐகானை கிளிக் பண்ணிடுங்க. so that எங்களோட வீடியோஸ் உங்களுக்கு மிஸ் ஆகாம வந்துட்டே இருக்கும்.
Future Vision Study Center,
SKS Hospital Road, opposite to Hotel Lakshmi Prakash, near New Bus Stand, Salem.
cell 90420 30163.